Cannabis makes me a better mom. So this is something that I've talked about before with my partner, Christy, on a previous episode, number 424, if you wanted to go check that out. It's all about mothering and cannabis. We talk a lot in that episode about pregnancy in cannabis and kind of, what happens in that process. So definitely go check out that conversation. Today we're going to talk about the fun stuff after pregnancy, which is being a mom and getting to know your children. And something else really beautiful happens when you become a mom. You kind of tap into your inner child too. And I think that's where cannabis has been such a massive tool for me. And cannabis is lots of things for me. It's a recreational tool. It's a therapeutic tool. And it's kind of this tool that I can use to get really present and let everything fall aside and soak up what's happening in that moment, particularly with my kids. And so I started, used cannabis through pregnancy responsibly, and post-pregnancy took a little bit of a break from cannabis and just gave myself, it's called a tea break, but just let your body reset. And then as my son started getting to an age where he was kind of crawling around and engaging with you, when they're infants and newborns, they're just these blobs and they don't quite engage with you. But then when they start looking you in the eyes and playing with you and picking up toys, this is really fun. And this is when I really wanted to just tune the whole world out and tune into him. And so this is when cannabis makes me a better mom. And so I like microdosing, always staying in control. I don't want to ever, when I'm around my kids, be so high that I, can't be in control of the situation, or if something were to happen, be able to pick up and go if there was an emergency. It's really important to mention that. I love to play. I love to go to the playground. I know a lot of moms dread the playground. I love the playground. I love the playground because I don't sit on the bench at the playground. I go on the playground with my kid, and I get really competitive with him. And this is I like to microdose before we go to the playground, and I play. And I'm talking play to where I'm sore when I get home from the playground. I'm crawling through the tunnels, climbing up the, rope things and the monkey bars. The monkey bars make you really sore. So this is, again, keep saying it, why cannabis makes me a better mom is because I can tune the world out and tune into my kid. Some of the other things I love to do are arts and crafts. And this is where the real therapy comes in, because I think, as we become adults, we get really far away from doing the things that we did when we were kids that brought us a lot of joy. And so for me, when I was a kid, what that looked like was sitting on my parents' dining room table with a stapler and lots of fabric, and I would make clothes. But since I didn't know how to sew, I would use a stapler and I would staple the seams. So I was really into arts and crafts. I had a whole room where in the home that I grew up in that was mine. So I could draw on the walls, I could throw paint on the ceilings, I could do anything I wanted to let my creativity fly. I'm realizing that I need to give my kid that room because he's starting to draw in places that I don't want him to draw in. So for me, when I was a kid, arts and crafts were my thing. And so it's something I'm really enjoying doing with my kids. So a little microdose before an arts and crafts session is so, so, so fun. And we've talked about in other episodes too, something a lot of people are afraid of, paranoia potentially when you get a little bit high on something like cannabis. And that is something that I experience sometimes in social settings. And what that looks like for me is maybe thinking someone's thinking I'm talking too loud or saying absurd things. But when I'm with my kid, I know they're not judging me. I know that there's nothing I could say and do in that moment that is going to be wrong for them. So the paranoia isn't an issue. And we just play for hours and hours on end. And where, if I didn't microdose and I'm trying to play with my kid, I might be trying to juggle other things at the same time. I might be, answering some emails on my phone, trying to cook dinner. But when I microdose and tune in with my kid, that's all I'm doing, and we can just get lost in the time. I think one of my other things about microdosing and tapping into parenthood is just the silliness that comes, and there's I don't think there's anything more healing for an adult than that deep belly laugh, and being able to do that as much as possible and as often as possible. The other really fun thing to do is cook and do science projects. because of course you can get a little bit of munchies, which we're going to talk about munchies later. But I love cooking, love getting in the kitchen. My son particularly loves it. We go to the dollar store and we get a bunch of cheap herbs and spices that I don't care about. Please don't use my organic ones. And we just sit in the kitchen and we make all these concoctions, and then we freeze some of them and we boil them. And it's just so, so fun. And there's something else that I think is really cool. I think you attract other parents when you are somewhere public, like a playground, or I take my son a lot to, kind of those play type places that have like bumper cars or laser tag. I've noticed in my experience that when I'm really tapped in and tuned into him, I like other parents that enjoy being like that with their kids. We kind of all end up together in a corner talking, and then the conversation always comes up, like, what do you do for a living? You're meeting your new parents. And I'm like, well, I'm a wellness dealer. What's that mean? I produce cannabis products and, yada, yada, yada. One thing leads to another. Do you have any gummies on you? That's like always the next question. Do you have any now? Because they know they're stuck at this play thing for the next 5 hours at a birthday party. Of course, I always have gummies in my purse. I feel like it's, required for my job. But that's it. And sure, there's some parents at the playground that, maybe judge me or don't see it the way that I see it. That's fine. They're not my people. I'm still going to have a great time with my kid. But it's really helps me find my parenting community and my parenting group. And when we go do fun things on the weekend, we know who we want to call and go do those things with, and all have fun and give our kids the most, enjoyable experience. There is a quote that I just saw recently that, as we're in our adult life, every day is just like a normal day for us. But for our kids, it's their upbringing, it's their childhood. These are their core memories. So that really resonated with me because it's like, wow, my day is mundane, right? Like I'm going and doing pretty normal stuff, but the day for my kid, who's part of my day, it's not normal for him. So if I can add in these little 5-10 minute moments of specialness or play, these are going to all compound into his core memories. And I want my kid to remember me as like the funnest mom. I want that award. I don't know what ceremony they'll give those awards out. I want the funnest mom award. And so I'm really intentional about that. And that's how cannabis helps me be that better mom to my kids. It also helps me be a better partner to my husband, which compounds and helps me be a better mom to my kids, right? They all feed into each other. When my husband can tell I'm stressed or something, he's like, oh, do you want a little gummy? And I'm like, what? Are you saying you like only want to hang out with me if I have my little microdose for the day? But no, it really does. It really helps me just kind of take that edge off and tap into the play and laugh through it, because, the reality is we're all on this giant floating rock that's shooting through space, and we got to have fun with it. So cannabis makes me a better mom. If you are looking for a way to tap out of mom rage and into play mom, it might be something that could work for you. And as I always recommend, starting low and going slow and always staying in control of the situation. Another thing that is a big contributor to being a good mom is, on top of, using cannabis as a microdose, is getting good sleep. And cannabis plays a role in that too. And so we're going to talk about that next.